my loves, welcome back to my vlog. Today is Vlogmas day 10, I think, or is it 9? Oh my god, I can't even remember. But anyway, we're going to be doing another Vlogmas again today. I'm actually going to a doctor's appointment this morning. I have like a little bit of abdominal cramping, like in my lower abdomen. Like it's not like period pain or anything like that, it's like ligament pain, but I'm just kind of a bit concerned because I've had them for 2 days now. I was talking about them yesterday, so I'm just kind of a little bit concerned, so I'm going to go to my doctor today just to have a look over. I'm sure she's going to tell me exactly the same thing as I'm saying to you guys, like everything's fine, it's grand, don't be worrying about it. I feel a bit silly even going, like I'm not one of those people I like, oh I need to go to the doctor, I need to do whatever. I just kind of like suffer through whatever pain. But it's not about me, it's about the baby. So I have to go to the doctor this morning and just check out and see what it is. I was wondering if it was like digestive pains or something like that. But I just don't think that's what it is. It hurts me when I sit down. Like I can feel it going through my whole body, and then I peed and it was hurting and I was like, maybe I have a kidney infection, I don't know. So I'm just gonna go to the doctor and just explain to her my symptoms and hopefully get an answer, and please God it's like nothing wrong anyway. The best news ever we got in Ireland today, and that is, well, it is for me and for Paddy definitely, that fathers can now attend, or partners or whoever you're bringing into your scans or your delivery or whatever, they can now attend. So they can come to the 20-week scan, which is like the big scan. Had bad news if you're going to certain scans, or if you've, you know, had like something that you need support for. It's been really difficult, and I understand like lots of people are going and getting, you know, cancer diagnoses alone. People are going to appointments and getting really bad news besides being pregnant. So I understand, like, but this is just a really big deal, I suppose, for pregnancy, because I guess you're a little bit more vulnerable during pregnancy. Like I've definitely felt way more emotional than I've ever felt in my whole entire life. I've discussed that before. I don't cry very often, I don't get upset over things very often, but since being pregnant my hormones are going into overdrive, and like the smallest thing kind of like triggers me to cry. It's so weird. So that's good news. And they have increased parent leave, or they used to call it paternity leave here in Ireland, but like that's kind of gone with the times, so it's parent leave, and they've increased it from 2 to 5 weeks, which is great. So Paddy can get 5 weeks off. I think it's paid or half paid, I'm not really sure. I think you get like half of your pay, and I know in Ireland maternity leave is 6 months, so you have to apply for that before obviously you go on maternity leave, and then you have to take it. I think you get like whatever the allocated amount of time is. I'm nearly certain it's 6 months paid and then 6 months unpaid if you want to take it off. I'm not really sure, I need to look into all of that. Anyway, I'm going to go to my appointment. It's at 11:30 and it's just gone 11 now. I haven't really done anything this morning work wise. I'm just kind of all over the place. I just emailed them and told them I had an appointment with the doctor, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's okay. So next time I'm talking to you, hopefully it'll be all alright. Okay, so I thought I would actually just pop in really quickly and just let you guys know that I'm actually in the hospital. I've been admitted to A&E and I have been kept overnight in hospital. So I will kind of do a little bit more of an update of what's going on tomorrow when I don't have to wear a mask and I can talk to you guys properly. I'm just after finishing the sandwich and having some tea there now, because I haven't eaten all day because I was supposed to be getting surgery today or scans and so I'm not really 100% sure, but I will talk to you tomorrow when I know more information. But for right now I am spending the night in the hospital. How fun. Hi everyone. So I'm home. I've never been so glad to be home in my whole entire life. I've had kind of a rough last 2 days. I spent 12 hours in A&E and I spent in hospital, just fit to hit the hay. Like I washed my hair, had a shower, and I'm just letting my hair air dry, and it's just really messy. And I got like my jammies are all washed and a fresh dressing gown. I just feel a bit more like myself. I will fill you in on everything tomorrow. Obviously there's been no vlogs for the last few days. I'm sure you guys understand. I put stuff up on my Instagram stories and stuff. I really need to just sit down and kind of chat with you because I had an awful lot of stuff to take on board But baby's fine and I am fine. That's kind of the bottom line. And then they were going to keep me again tonight, and I was kind of like, no, I don't want to stay again tonight, please. Everything is going to be the way it is, whether I'm at home or not, and I'll explain all tomorrow. But I just thought I'd let you know I'm home. I'm really, really tired, wrecked. I'm starved as well because I only got a sandwich and a slice of toast, and then like I picked at a little bit of dinner over the last 2 days. I just haven't really eaten because I was fasting for a possible operation. I will explain everything on Instagram and here, so you kind of have it all compiled. Talk to you tomorrow. I finally feel a bit better today and ready to kind of have a chat with you. First of all, I'm really, really grateful to every single person who's been writing to me in my comment section and on Instagram particularly, because a lot of you guys have been reaching out to me on Instagram. Oh sorry, there's like a mess there. It's actually fresh laundry I need to put away, and then like my jacket that I had in the hospital. Again, I want to just say a huge thank you to each and every single one of you for your lovely comments, keeping me going. I read a lot of them in the hospital. I didn't respond to a lot of people because I didn't know what to say, but I'm just gonna give yous an all to every one of yous. Thank you very much. I will go through my Insta messages and try and reply to people. There goes my speaker. And try to reply to people today and tomorrow and over the weekend. It's just a lot to process. Let's begin at the beginning. My 12 hours in A&E were just delightful. I went over, obviously, as you can see from earlier in this vlog, and that was on Wednesday. I went over to my doctor just about the cramps and pains in my stomach, and when she was touching my stomach, she was like, yeah, I think that it's best if you go over to the hospital just to get a scan. My doctor wasn't really happy with when she touched my stomach. I got to see the midwife as well over in the doctors, and neither of them were happy with the way that my stomach was a little bit descended and like a little bit bloated, more so than with the baby, and also that I was in so much pain, especially on my right hand side. She wrote me a letter and sent me over to A&E, and because I'm only 19 weeks, well, I'm over 19 weeks, I couldn't go to the natal unit of my hospital. The natal unit only admits you when you're over 20 weeks, so it was just a bit of a pain in the arse to say the least. So I had to sit with everybody else in A&E, which is fine. When you're thinking about your baby, it's the weirdest feeling. Been pregnant, anybody who's been pregnant before or is pregnant currently, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like this overwhelming protectiveness over something like else and somebody else. Like, I am so much more protective over the baby than myself. I don't really care about things in regards to myself unless it has to relate to the baby. Like in regards to like eating and stuff, I'm like, ugh. If I wasn't pregnant, in regards to the baby, I'm like, I have to eat. Like, it's a certain time in the day, I have to eat. Especially with what was going on the other day, I was more like, is the baby okay? Is the baby okay? That's all I care about. I just want to know if the baby's okay, if it's moving, if whatever. I could feel little kicks and stuff. I have done since 17 weeks, so I could kind of feel it moving. The midwife did the Doppler and everything, so we could hear the heartbeat. But I was just so worried. So I was sitting in A&E for hours, moved everywhere, had my bloods taken, the poor doctor taking my bloods, spilt blood all over the bed and everything. I just felt sorry for her because she was obviously, like, she's done it a million times but just made like a little bit of a mistake, and just blood was everywhere and it was running down my hands, and she was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's fine. I said, I'm not worried. I'm not afraid of blood, needles or anything like that in any way, shape or form. So those things didn't worry me. So I was lying down eventually. This is after about 4 or 5 hours in A&E, and she told me to take me another 2 hours to get my bloods back. Eventually when they did come back, I had an elevated marker, an IgE marker. One of my immune responses was elevated marker 2. I was kind of half listening to what they were saying because I was just like, is the baby okay? That's all I care about. So I had a scan on the baby, moving around, heartbeat, perfect, everything's okay. I could kind of like sigh a bit of relief. Still in a huge amount of pain. I've been moved around hospital. After my bloods came back, the results, I then was been told I was going to be admitted for the night because they just weren't happy with the way that my stomach was and the cramping and this, you know, you shouldn't have anything like that if everything is perfect. They kept saying miscarriage to me, and I was just like, what? Like, when you're pregnant and somebody talks about miscarriage to you in a medical sense, you're just kind of panicking, and that's what I was thinking. And they were asking me, was I bleeding? And I was like, no, nothing like that. No. Then I was moved into another part of A&E. A&E was mental. I mean chockers. I have been in A&E a few times, like with my mum, with my nan, with certain members of my family, and I have not seen it that busy in a very long time. It was ridiculously busy. I eventually got sitting on a chair, which is very uncomfortable when you are in agony and pain and it's all in your abdomen area because you're sitting crunched up. When I was lying for the hour whilst they were taking my bloods and checking on the baby and stuff, I was fine. I had to get a COVID test and that takes 2 hours to come back. They lost my COVID test. So then I had to wait and get another one done, and then I was eventually, after a long time and no food, I was told that I was going to be fasting from midnight, so I was allowed to have a sandwich and tea, and that was all I had all day on Wednesday, the whole day, because they wanted me to fast because they thought perhaps I may have needed surgery that day and they didn't want me to be eating. So then I was admitted at midnight. Well, about 11:30 I had my sandwich and tea. That's all I had, and I was so exhausted because I was just crying, upset, unsure what was going on. I'd listened to, I'd say, every single podcast that I have up to date, like ready to listen to. I listened to, finish my book. I'm listening to a pregnancy book, which I don't really like, actually, to be honest. When I finished it, I was like, okay, it was grand. It was recommended. I'll talk about that when I'm doing my 20-week update, but I didn't like it. Anyway, I finished that book. Then I was listening to my Mindhunter book. I just feel like I had listened to everything. Once I got to bed, they were like, you're going to have a scan in the morning, no more eating after midnight, grand, whatever, fasting. Had my scan at midday after not sleeping at all because the poor girl beside me was labouring. I was in a ward with 4 other girls, and one of them was having a threatened miscarriage. One girl was in labour but hadn't had contractions yet. She was just, her waters had broke. And then the other girl beside me was labouring, and in between her sleeping, she was, I don't know how she was sleeping through the pain either. I had 2 hours of broken sleep that night. Thursday morning we're now at, I go for my scan on my abdomen at 12:30, and I am famished, exhausted, and really thirsty. Really thirsty. I've drank about 3 litres in the last day. Like, I'm so thirsty because you can't eat or drink. I go down, they do a test on my abdomen. They're thinking appendicitis. That's the only word I've been hearing other than miscarriage the entire day. And I was like, oh my god. So appendicitis is what they thought it was. They said that my immune responses were not high enough for appendicitis. Apparently, like, you need like an immune response of 100, let's just say, and mine was at 20. So it was just not, it was only at 20% of what it should be if you had an appendicitis or a ruptured appendix. So the guy doing the ultrasound on my abdomen couldn't find anything. He said everything was a-okay on my abdomen. Very difficult to find everything because I'm pregnant, so everything's like moved around, and he was trying to like go around the baby and everything. He kept mostly on my right side because that's where my complaint is, and low down because again that's where my complaint is, but he didn't do anything on my uterus and he didn't look at my ovaries, so that was fine because I was going for ultrasound on the baby, on my uterus, on my ovaries, and everything, my cervix and everything after this. So then I come back up and I'm like, can I eat? And they're like, yeah, of course you can eat. And then the next thing, I'm whisked off down to get my ultrasound on the baby. So this is now 3 o'clock. And I have not eaten since 11:30 the night before, and I am just so hungry and thirsty. And there's no water tanks anywhere in the hospital anymore because of obviously COVID, but I knew I had a can of Diet Coke in my bag because my mum packed my bag obviously the night before because you can't have visitors and you can't have anything. So I knew she had a can of Coke, and I just couldn't even get it because I was like literally up on the ward and whisked back down to get my scan, and I was like, oh dear god, I'm starving, I'm thirsty. I was like, oh my god, I'm just so thirsty. I went and got my scan with Denise. She is a girl I went to school with, and I have never been so thankful to see anybody in my whole entire life as Denise. Like, I really can't even stress that enough. She is one of the most magnificent women throughout my pregnancy journey. She stands out to me, and I'm just so grateful to Denise for everything. Actually, I forgot to get Denise's number when I was in there. I'll get it off her. I'm in next week for another scan. So anyway, she did scan on baby. Baby is perfect. Having a great time, not knowing what's going on with life. Kicked me in the cervix when I was in there getting a scan, and the pain of that, I've never had anything like that in my life. Kicking me constantly. I can feel loads of like little kicks now. They're not very strong, like obviously. It's just really nice to feel the baby moving and kicking and strong. She said there's nothing you know, no miscarriage or anything. She's like, don't be worrying. And she just asked me again about the bleeding, and I was like, no bleeding. She was like, you're fine in that regards. She says, now we do have an issue. After she went down to look at my cervix and my ovaries, she was like, you have a fibroid. Now I've heard of fibroids, I know what they are, but I don't know what they, like what problems that they will cause, especially during pregnancy. The fibroid that I have is 7 centimeters. It's quite large, it's about the size of an orange. Like, I've looked them up online. If you're not into like gory stuff, don't do that. I am just like a gorephilic, not a gorephobic, a gorephilic. I love a bit of gore. I love kind of knowing the ins and outs of my body. I love anatomy. Like, that was my favorite module in college, was anatomy and physiology. I loved anatomy, anything to do with it. I did have a look at it. They are quite significant. They're big. A lot of them have a blood supply, and they live outside. Well, I say live, they start growing outside your uterus, inside your uterus, on your uterus, or in the lining of your uterus. So they're basically growths on your uterus, and they are non-cancerous, and they don't really pose a huge issue if it's just one and it's under 3 centimeters, but anything over 3 centimeters is considered something that may cause fertility problems or may cause problems during pregnancy in my instance. And especially since mine is 7 centimeters, it's quite significant, it's quite large, and it's located on my right hand side towards my posterior, so towards my back. Baby and it are competing at the moment for space. It's also pushing my placenta down to cause what's known as placenta previa, which is basically where the placenta can cover the cervix. Now, that's not even happening yet, but it is pushing it that way. So if it continues to grow, I may have to have a C-section, which I don't really care. I actually don't care after everything that I went through the other day. Up until that point, I was like, oh, I would like to have a vaginal birth. Up until that point the other day, I was like, I don't care. Like, this is just beyond scary. I just want my baby healthy and safe, and I don't really give a crap after that. It is painful. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it is painful. It's there, it's big. The doctor did talk to me more after Denise gave all the information. She was like, look, your doctor's gonna explain all this to you. She's like, I'm just gonna be quiet for a mere moment, while she was doing all her bits and pieces, measuring and everything. And she's like, I just want to say to you, don't be worried. There's nothing to be concerned about. She said, everything's okay. She said, the doctor's going to explain everything to you further once I give him all my notes. She was like, just please don't panic and stress about it. But sure, of course, I go back up to the ward. It's now like 4:30. Yeah, I was down there for a good hour and a half, I'd say, with Denise. Maybe a good hour anyway, because I had to wait, obviously, before I was taken in. So I'd say an hour and a half. It's now 4:30. I have not eaten since 11:30 the night before. I've just found out that there's something growing on my uterus. I've found out these things about my placenta have been pushed. Finding out an awful lot of things all in one go, and I'm starved and hormonal, and I'm just in tears in the bed. Like, I couldn't stop crying. Like, I was so upset. So I rang my mum and explained everything to her, and then the doctor came around. So I was really delighted. I actually ended up getting my can of Coke, and then the nurse brought me tea and toast, and she was so lovely, and she was chatting to me, and she was like, you'll be fine. She was like, look, I've heard what's going on. She was like, but you'll be fine. She said, the doctor's here to speak with you. Anyway, so I had my tea and toast. I had a little chat with my mum, I had a chat with the nurse, doctor comes around. Explained everything again about the placenta, explained everything to me again about the fibroid. He said to me, in normal circumstances, he said, I would turn around to a woman with fibroids and I would generally say to them it can cause fertility issues with conceiving. He says, but we're talking to a 19-and-a-half-week pregnant woman. So he says it's not going to cause any problems with your fertility, obviously, and hasn't if it was there before. But he says from your previous scan, which was taken at 14+2, he was like, there was no fibroid there. So he said it's literally grown in the last 5 weeks. It's growth. He said that's not a good or a bad thing. He said it just means that it may go away, as in it may shrink down, it may go smaller. It's never going to go like completely away. It's never going to not be there, but it's going to be there. But he said it may not impact the baby. He said it may get smaller, shrink, whatever, and baby and it can live like harmoniously. He was such an amazing doctor. He said to me a lot about, he asked me a lot of questions about home, how was my home life and everything, and I was just like, great, fine, everything's brilliant. He said that I have to reduce my stress immediately, like if I'm under any sort of stress, pressure in any way, shape or form. He asked me a lot about work. I was like, work is fine. He was like, is work stressful? I said, no, under no circumstances is either of my jobs, because I do 2 jobs obviously. I said that neither of them are stressful. He told me that I possibly am putting too much pressure on myself, which I don't really feel like I have been. I actually feel like I've been really taking it easy this pregnancy because of COVID and lockdown and everything, so I don't know. But he reckons that my stress is too elevated, and he could even, like, obviously I'm sitting there like with tears flowing down my face, like I look like I'm stressed, and I have felt a little bit stressed this week obviously with everything going on, but by and large I didn't think I was stressing out. But he said that stress can increase it and I need to reduce it and not lift anything. He was like, try not to lift anything. I was like, well, I'm not anyway. He was like, no heavy lifting in any way, shape or form. He's like, no strenuous exercise, no like weight training or anything like that. I was like, no, there's no chance of that. I said, I'm a jogger. He was like, even be careful with been out in jogs and stuff. He said because it is so vast, like it's so big, the fibroid, and the circumference of it, it's big, like it's 7 centimeters in diameter, like it's a big thing. And he just said you're carrying that around with you. But he said the positive thing about it is there is no blood supply going to it, and it looks like it's in descension, which means it's actually going down, which means it's getting smaller. And he said this is all good news. He said there's no problem with you having a natural birth if everything keeps going the way it's going, but he said just be kind of keeping C-section in your head. So I'm like, that's fine. I'm prepared for that if that's what needs to be. He also said to me, just in regards to the placenta, that's the only issue with needing the C-section, is just the position of the placenta. He also said to me that if I have any bleeding at all, I need to go back into the hospital. I won't be admitted to A&E anymore because I'm now approaching 20 weeks, so I need to go in there straight away. That I just need to kind of take everything easy and again not stress. They weighed me as well. I've only gained a pound since I was weighed back in my 14-week scan. I didn't seem to be very worried about my weight or anything, so I'm alright in that respect. There's nothing more I can do. They're just going to keep an eye on me. I'm in for scans every 4 weeks from 20 weeks onward. Next week I'm 20 weeks, so I have to go in for that. She did the anatomy scan the other day, Denise did, and everything's perfect. Baby is like flourishing. She was like, your baby is so perfect, like everything is perfect, from its face to its toes to its legs, femurs, all its organs, everything. So I don't really need to get too much with the anatomy scan next week, but Paddy can come in with me, so he's going to get to see the baby again. And I'm so in love with this child, like I just can't wait to meet this baby. But again, I just have this like protective thing that I just need to listen to the doctor's advice, keep an eye on my stress, keep it low, which is very hard. Like the hormones are just crazy at the moment, and the emotionalness, it's just all nuts. This vlog is probably long enough, and I'm glad I kind of have this to look back on, to remember when all this is over and I'm holding my baby, that like this like slight bump in the road was like nothing. The only thing the doctor did say to me, he was like, if we had found this a little bit later, or if it happened a little bit later, we wouldn't be, you know, we wouldn't be monitoring you as much, but you know, like baby would be bigger and stronger, whereas it's so small now. I know women deal with worse things during pregnancy. It's just a lot to take on. Like it's only the day since it happened. It's not even a day, like it's only 3 o'clock today, so I haven't even had that much time to kind of process it all. But look, sure, we'll see how we get on. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll let you know what is going on. I'll have a little bit of a better vlog for you, I think, tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching today's vlog. I know it was a bit more of an unusual one, but anyway, you have all the information now, and if anything else happens in the meantime, I will let you know. And again, thanks so much for all your messages. I love you so much. Mwah. Bye guys.